Most financial mistakes don't feel dramatic when they happen. They don't look like disasters. They look small, manageable, easy to fix later. And that's exactly why they can quietly cost you 10 or even 20 years of progress. My name is Mike, and I'm really glad you're here. I make videos that explain money in a calm, practical way, without pressure or hype. If you find this kind of steady, clear financial guidance helpful, take a moment to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations that make personal finance feel simpler and more manageable. The blind spot I want to talk about today isn't about picking the wrong stock. It's not about missing one bill. It's not about a single bad decision. It's about something quieter, ignoring the gap between your income and your lifestyle as your earnings grow. On the surface, that doesn't sound dangerous. In fact, it often feels reasonable. You work harder, you earn more, you upgrade your life a little. That seems fair. But if that pattern continues unchecked, it slowly erases your ability to build long-term wealth. Why this financial problem happens? This blind spot happens because lifestyle growth feels normal. It even feels deserved. When your income increases, your brain looks for visible proof that you're moving forward. A better apartment, a newer car, more dinners out, more convenience. These upgrades feel like evidence of success. At the same time, the future feels distant. Retirement is decades away. Financial independence sounds abstract. Investing feels optional because there's still time, so your expenses quietly rise to match your income. Not all at once. Gradually. Comfortably. The problem is that when your lifestyle grows at the same speed as your income, your savings rate stays flat. And if your savings rate stays flat, your wealth timeline stretches further and further into the future. You can earn a solid income for 20 years and still feel stuck if most of that income is consumed. The blind spot isn't low income, it's low intentionality. Step-by-step financial guidance. The first step is awareness. You need to know your savings rate, not just your income. Your savings rate is the percentage of your take-home pay that you consistently set aside for future goals. Not leftover money. Not whatever remains, a deliberate percentage. Start by calculating how much you actually save each month. Include retirement contributions, brokerage investments, and any automatic transfers into savings. Divide that by your monthly take-home pay. If that number surprises you, that's useful information. The second step is separating fixed lifestyle upgrades from temporary spending. Some increases in spending are permanent, higher rent, car payments, subscription bundles. Once added, they're hard to remove. Before locking in a permanent upgrade, pause. Ask yourself, does this expense create long-term value in my life, or does it simply match my new income? That one question can protect years of future growth. The third step is automation. If you wait to save what's left, lifestyle inflation will usually win. Instead, increase your savings rate every time your income increases. If you receive a raise, decide in advance that a portion of it, say 50%, goes directly into investments or savings. You still feel the benefit of earning more, but your future self benefits too. The fourth step is setting a long-term target. Without a clear goal, it's easy to drift. A target could be financial independence, a paid-off home, or simply reaching a specific investment balance by a certain age. When you know what you're building toward, daily spending decisions become easier. They're no longer about deprivation. They're about alignment. Real-life example. Let's look at Spender Mike. Spender Mike starts his career earning a modest salary. At first, he lives carefully. He shares an apartment. He tracks expenses. He saves a little. After a few years, he earns more. He feels proud, and he should. He moves into a nicer place. He upgrades his car. He eats out more often because he's too busy to cook. He adds subscriptions because they're small individually. None of these decisions feel irresponsible. 5 years later, his income has doubled. But his expenses have nearly doubled too. His savings rate is still hovering around 5%. From the outside, Spender Mike looks successful. But underneath, his financial runway hasn't expanded. He still depends entirely on his next paycheck. 10 years pass. Then, 15. Now he's in his 40s. Retirement suddenly feels closer. But because his savings rate stayed low during his highest earning years, he needs to save aggressively just to catch up. Spender Mike didn't make one catastrophic mistake. He simply let his lifestyle grow without a plan. That's how 20 years can disappear. Common mistakes. One common mistake is believing that higher income automatically fixes everything. Income helps. It creates opportunity. But without structure, it doesn't create wealth. Another mistake is assuming you'll start investing seriously later. Later often turns into a decade. And the lost compounding during that decade is difficult to recover. A third mistake is focusing only on cutting small expenses while ignoring big structural ones. Skipping coffee won't solve a savings problem if housing, cars, and recurring commitments consume most of your raises. And finally, many people think balance means spending most of what they earn now and worrying about the future eventually. True balance means allowing your lifestyle to improve, but at a slower pace than your income. Simple action plan. Here's a practical way to protect yourself from this blind spot. First, choose a minimum savings rate target. For many people, 15 to 25% of take-home pay is a strong long-term goal. If that feels high, start lower and increase gradually. Second, create a raise rule. Every time your income increases, automatically direct a fixed portion, maybe half, into investments or debt payoff before adjusting your lifestyle. Third, review fixed expenses once per year. Look specifically at recurring commitments. Ask, if I were starting from zero today, would I choose this expense again? If the answer is no, consider adjusting. Fourth, measure progress in net worth, not just income. Net worth shows whether your efforts are translating into ownership and stability. And fifth, schedule a quarterly check-in with yourself. Not to judge, just to observe. Awareness prevents drift. None of this requires extreme frugality. It requires intention. Long-term mindset shift. The deeper shift is moving from consumption-based validation to progress-based validation. It's natural to want visible rewards for hard work, but the most powerful financial rewards are invisible at first. An increasing investment account, a shrinking debt balance, a growing emergency fund, more optionality in your career. When you begin to see those as proof of progress, your priorities shift. Instead of asking, "What can I afford now?" you start asking, "What future flexibility am I buying?" That shift protects decades. It doesn't mean you stop enjoying your life. It means you design it consciously. You allow upgrades, but you choose them carefully. You let your savings rate rise as your income rises. Over 20 years, even a modest increase in savings rate can create a dramatic difference in outcomes. Compounding rewards consistency more than intensity. The goal isn't to avoid every comfort. It's to avoid drifting. When your spending grows slower than your income, your freedom grows faster than you expect. Calm closing insight. The financial blind spot that destroys 20 years isn't dramatic failure. It's slow, comfortable expansion without intention. It's letting lifestyle quietly absorb every raise. The good news is that this is fixable at any stage. You don't need to undo your entire life. You just need to become slightly more deliberate with each new dollar you earn. Small adjustments today can protect decades tomorrow. If this video helped you see that blind spot more clearly or answered questions you've been thinking about, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribed for more videos like this. I'm here to make money feel calmer, clearer, and more manageable, one steady step at a time.